this is a question we didn't get to last time, but I really want to get to this question. I want to know. So we know that the Fed, the PPD stands for Plunge Protection Team. There have been forces out there that have clearly given the markets helping hands, and they have some rationale for it. It's never a good time for the market to go down. But when you strip away the gobbledygook, a lot of these programs, Paul, they play to me like green energy. It sounds good, but when you strip away a few of the details, you're like, oh, that's a lot of money going into some well-connected pockets, isn't it? Right? Mm-hmm. Same old story. Nothing new under the sun. So the question, though, is because of Trump now, does this change? Because we know maybe the question is maybe there would be less of a helping hand if they know that was helping hand was going to help Trump. I've seen people who are just that anti-Trump that they would just as soon cut off the nose to spite the face, potentially. So so we just saw a re-steepening of the yield curve, right? And we've seen them before, but the last 4 times we saw them were 1990, 2000, 2008, and then once again in 2020. And thankfully, COVID came along to allow the Fed to punch bowl the heck out of that particular re-steepening. But we're there again. All 4 of those times in the past have been associated with economic downturns, right? We know that bonds are signaling something awkward here as well. The 10-year has been creeping down in price, up in yield. We know there was some huge emergency in October of 23. You and I have discussed it a bunch. And here we are. We don't know what that means yet, but we do know that there was this great emergency in 2023, and there's been a lot of money printing ever since, right? If we dial in on this, we can see that since that great emergency down there of October 30th, there was about $350 billion of new M2 broad money was created somehow magically in the system. That used to be a big number, $350 billion, Paul. I know it looks like a wiggle here, but that used to be real money, $350 billion. But we're up $1 trillion plus, okay, since then. So that's a lot of money creation, and that money creation was done to give that helping hand to the markets. Here we are. Question. Trump gets inaugurated on the 20th, which is coming up soon, of this month of January 2025, and then he takes office. If markets swoon in March, do you think we see $350 billion of mysterious money creation in a couple of weeks?
From my perspective, I think it's highly unlikely. And for a couple of reasons, at least what I would hope. Look, if I'm Trump, I want to get in here and you got to get some of these excesses out. And you got to get it out of the way now. And I would be honest about the landmines that they set in place and just communicate to the American people like we're adults instead of like we're a bunch of stupid fools, which is talking down to us instead. Now, will he do that? Mm-hmm. I don't know. But what if they do come out and start printing, another $350 billion? What's that going to do to inflation right now? And what's that going to do to bond yields? The bond market already seems to be on edge and wanting to take the punch bowl away. So maybe we've reached the point of diminishing returns there. But I don't believe that anybody outside of who he's bringing in with the administration, whoever the deep state is, we've seen them lie, we've seen them cheat, we've seen them, do all kinds of things to try to keep him from getting in office. I don't believe that they're going to be friendly to him. And the problem is it's going to be impacting the lives of the American people over their egos and their pride or their desire to, probably more than that, covering up the secrets that they have in the background and what they've done to the American people. So I don't necessarily expect you're going to have this, whole government cohesion from the deep state to try to save the markets. My anticipation is secretly they're hoping that he'll be similar to Hoover. If I remember correctly, Hoover was a Republican. Mm-hmm. Who was presiding in office over the Great Depression. And I don't know the number, so you guys will have to correct me, but I heard somebody say it was 25 years. I should know my presidents better, but 25 years before another Republican was elected again. So, I'm afraid we have that kind of battle going on in the background we may have lost the battle, but, at the expense of the American people, we're going to try to win the war. That's my concern.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw it, but James O'Keefe, they just did another sting where they must have got some pretty enough girl to sit down with a guy who was a contractor for working with former Pentagon officials. Anyway, this guy spills the beans and says, keep this secret. He's been fired. He got fired within 24 hours from his position. But he said, we're working with generals, ex-generals, who are very interested in, tangling up Trump, making sure that, he doesn't, get any of his stuff done. And just talking openly about how they're planning to undermine the president of the United States, which for a military person is treasonous. That's not okay, right? He's your commander in chief. The reason CINC is meaningful commander in chief is that's how we've kept our balance of power in this country. So when that gets undermined, dude, you're in banana republic territory. I don't know how we got here, but the point is that when people are openly talking about resisting Trump in ways that are treasonous, I do have questions as to whether or not we're going to see the same helping hands out of the machine to keep everything running smooth for him.